Fatima Manji. Now, remember last summer? Well, of course you do, the golden days of the Olympics and the Paralympics. But how much tangible legacy has Britain really enjoyed from hosting the Games? Jackie Long is at the Olympic Park, where one legacy event is taking place this evening. Jackie.
Yes, John, many of those games makers who were such a feature of last year's Olympics have returned here to Stratford to help promote a new generation of volunteering. Now, the government is hoping that volunteering will be one long-term benefit of the Olympics, and today it issued reports suggesting that there had been many others. Its trade promotion body, the UKTI, has suggested that £10 billion of investment has been generated since the Olympics and that there could be another £30 billion on its way before the end of the decade. But is that right? Our business correspondent Siobhan Kennedy has been taking a look at the figures.
A year ago, and the eyes of the world were on London for the opening ceremony of the Olympics. Fireworks lit the night sky. There were rings of fire and 4 glorious weeks of sport. We knew it would cost Britain billions, but no one cared. We were all having so much fun. But the Olympics wasn't good news for everyone. Stefano Fraquelli says business fell off a cliff at his London restaurant.
We all had a feel-good factor because of the Olympics. I mean, everybody felt good about it. But I have to say that on the run-up to and during the Olympics, restaurateurs, and I'm sure I speak for most restaurateurs in the West End of London, suffered very heavily with a downturn in trade because of the Olympics. And the reasons are quite obvious. Our regulars avoided being in the West End because they thought it would be mayhem, and the tourists who would normally have come to visit London avoided London because it was going to be an Olympic year.
Things have picked up since, he says. Now the Olympics is behind us.
Now, it might have been difficult for some restaurants like this one, but today the government said that overall the economy did get a boost from the Olympics, though a cynic might point out that the size of that boost, roughly £10 billion, is conveniently similar to the amount of money, roughly £9 billion, we spent on the Olympics in the first place.
But the government says the investment behind its £9.9 billion claim is real, including additional foreign investment into the UK, for example, the redevelopment of Battersea Power Station in London. Contracts secured by British companies overseas, like work on other major global sports projects, such as the Rio 2016 Olympics, and a big boost from sales from Olympic-related promotional activity, for example, events organised by the UK Trade and Investment Department.
So the government is saying that pumping money into the Olympics has led to a boost in the economy. But hang on a minute, hasn't it spent the last 3 years telling us that too much spending is a bad thing?
We have been told by the government that we cannot spend our way out of recession, and because extra government spending will just put a burden on future generations. And so that's why we have to cut back public expenditure. Now we're being told that because the government spent money, we're all better off.
The other question is, how can the government definitively know? How can it actually prove the Olympics did lead to the increased investment and that it wouldn't have happened anyway?
The estimates have been done on a fairly rigorous basis, and the method that was used to calculate the numbers was validated independently. It uses a method that was suggested by the National Audit Office, which is fairly tough normally with government numbers. So we're reasonably confident that this does represent additional value.
Reasonably confident, he says, so he's not convinced. Of course, it's feasible that the Olympics had some knock-on effect for jobs and growth. Less convincing, perhaps, the claim that without spending a single extra penny, the feel-good factor created by Britain's Olympic heroes will generate billions more for years to come.